started on a blind date.
Blind date. I went to an all-girls nursing school. And
I was a freshman at a college that was associated with that school.
And so once a year we had a Florence Nightingale banquet and we needed to find a date for it. So my roommate said, well, you know, back home I knew a guy and now he's out at this local college. Why don't you ask him? So I wrote him a letter and invited him.
And I went to my mailbox on campus and I got this letter from 518 North Austin Boulevard, Oak Park, Illinois. I'll never forget it. We had a book on campus of all the students, the new students, and the guys called it the Bird Dog book. So I looked up her picture and I was really intrigued because I didn't know who this was. But just as she said, they're having a nursing banquet and she mentioned her roommate was my old friend from Pennsylvania. She already had her boyfriend. And so I was happy to accept. I'm glad I did.
And so we really hit it off right away. We kind of knew almost from the beginning that this might be it.
Yeah, I was taken at first sight.
But we did not get married for about 4.5 years after that because I was in college.
And me too. And we're old-fashioned, and so I believed in asking her father for her hand, his hand, for his daughter. And he said, well, yes, but I wanted to finish college first. Well, that was another 2 years away. So we were engaged for over 2 years.
And then when I graduated, we got married the same week. So. June 13th. And,
1964.
It was a lovely day, but it was quite warm. And no air conditioning in the reception, so the jellos kind of melted. But other than that, it was fine.
And I didn't have a chance to get too nervous because I was a wedding photographer during college. And I shot 2 weddings the day of my wedding, which was 7 p.m. In fact, I was out washing my car in her parents' driveway like an hour before the wedding, and when the neighbors called up and asked if they had the right date. It was Wheaton Bible Church, a large sanctuary with a very long aisle, and I was just mesmerized. After college, I went to Dallas Seminary, and after that I became a pastor, which opened the door for me to go and be a professor at Moody Bible Institute in Chicago. And while I was there, I started teaching seminars on the weekends. When I was doing seminars full-time, we needed to have some insurance, since I was a freelancer, and thought about what could I do to get good insurance benefits and still be able to do my seminars and travel. I thought, flight attendant. And so became one, still did seminars, and enjoyed a wonderful extra career as a flight attendant at United Airlines, mainly going to Europe, Asia, South America.
His teaching and his airline career enabled us to travel quite extensively in our earlier days.
Right. Some people have to wait to retirement to do a lot of traveling. We did mega travel all during my working years. One of the highlights was our 40th anniversary. We wanted to do something really special. And so we decided instead of just one thing, we would do a trip every month. And I was still working full-time at this time as a flight attendant for United. And we ended up doing 14 trips that year. And probably the highlight for us was the almost a month we spent in New Zealand, and did our own thing, B&B on both islands.
Well, it was exciting. We always considered ourselves very fortunate. We had 6 weeks, a 6-week trip in Asia, and then a 6-week trip in Europe with the military chaplains. And that was a real highlight of our whole marriage, really.
Right. Part of my life work was teaching seminars for churches and chapels on the big picture of the Bible and how to study the Bible and creative teaching methods. And that opened a lot of doors for us to travel, and I'm grateful when she could go with me. Then, of course, I became a flight attendant. And we could fly for free, as long as there's an open seat. And we've had a lot of adventures, playing the standby game. It's an adventure for us. We like it. Twice we've been in our seat on the plane, and they said, "We need your seat." So we find a different way to get there.
I think it was the New Zealand trip. There were like 36 standbys, so we thought, we'll never get on. But apparently somebody had checked in but didn't show up at the gate, and the last minute they called us. And so we got on to go to New Zealand.
Right. When they announced the plane was filled, all the other standbys left the gate and said, "We'll come back tomorrow." We stay there until that plane is gone. And so we got first in business class down to Australia and on to New Zealand.
Well, I was a nurse and worked as a nurse at the local hospital, and then he traveled. So a lot of times we were apart, but we never seemed to mind that.
No, people often ask me when they saw our schedules, how in the world do you keep a wife happy, a marriage happy, being gone so much?
But we enjoyed it, and when we come back together, then we had lots to talk about.
This is my buddy. We are just the best friends, even after 55 years. There's nobody in all the world I'd rather be with than you. And we love just hanging out together.
We do.
We love things so simple as going to the store together, playing Rummy Cube, walking the island.
He's more outgoing than I am, and so I get to do a lot of things I wouldn't if I didn't have him, because he kind of leads the way, so I'm very grateful.
And I'm grateful for a partner who's willing to go out on the limb and do adventures and then wing it.